So it's that time of the week again to look through some of the update news for World of Tanks console. We're going to have a look at everything that you need to know with regard to a couple of ops that are coming in, along with basically the bundles and whether or not you should actually purchase them. A brand new free tank that you can pick up within this week and for the next couple of weeks actually. We'll have a look at all of that. It will be timestamped so you can check out which part best relevance is or is relevant to you. And let's get right into it now. So, of course, the next week in World of Tanks, we will be getting a light tank bootcamp, very, very similar to the heavy tank bootcamp that we got last week, I believe it was. This will be running for 1 week total, so from the 27th of July, which is tomorrow. Of course, the weekly update is always on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock UTC, I believe it is, and then it will be running until the following Tuesday at 8:59 in the morning, I believe. So, what does the Light Tank Bootcamp offer? Well, it's basically a way for Wargaming to kind of promote this light tank operation and for people to get involved in light tanks and play some of the more interesting tanks within the game. Now, first one. What do you actually get for completing it, basically? Light Tank Bootcamp number 1, you have to detect one or more vehicle in any number of surviving battles. So that's pretty easy. You basically just have to survive and detect an enemy. You'll get an enhanced fuel boost and 25k silver, available to light tanks and available to multiplayer only. So I don't think you can do this in Cold War. Second one, Light Tank Bootcamp number 2. This is completed after you can complete the first one. So I think you do this one, then you can move on to the next one, and then following on throughout the entirety of them. First one and second one, destroy one or more light tanks or artillery in any number of surviving battles. So you only have to destroy one or more light tank or artillery in any number of battles, so you can do that whenever, and you'll receive 2 enhanced repair kits which are worth 25,000 silver each and 50,000 silver, so it's not too bad. You're going to be earning about 100,000 worth of silver there, and it's not going to take you long, probably 2 or 3 or 4 games in order to get that far. And then finally the Light Tank Bootcamp number 3, which is basically assist with 5,000 or more damage due to you spotting vehicles. So it doesn't take into account tracking damage, which is where you track an enemy and then of course they get hit by someone on your team. Not that, it is pure spotting damage. Once you've got 5,000 spotting damage, then you will be able to get an enhanced smoke screen. You'll be able to get a whole patch kit, 100,000 silver, and the Shell Magnet emblem. So not particularly the best rewards you could possibly want within some of these earn operations. There's definitely been a lot better within the game. Of course, this is the emblem a little bit more up close. Of course, you can use any light tank, so it's literally tier 3 up to tier 10, and I think you could probably use light tanks on the Cold War game mode, but I'm not entirely sure about the Cold War game mode actually counting towards the operation. We do have some cool discounted light tank bundles that we'll go through now just to give you an idea as to which ones are actually the ones you want to be looking at this week. First one being the M41 Brazilian Bulldog, which is okay, Type 64, which is okay at tier 6, and then the Senlac, which is pretty poor, to be honest with you. 8,600, is it worth it? Probably not. I'm not a big fan of any of those, to be honest with you. Light them up. Lycan T71, Type 62, and the Aguila, 9,000 gold. If you're interested in light tanks that are competitive, then these 3 are actually really, really good. The Aguila Hawk 30 is so underrated within the game. It's so good. The Lycan T71 is a fantastic tier 7 light tank with an autoloader. Type 62 is a good Chinese light tank. Not going to be outstanding, but it certainly can play quite well. 9,000 gold for that. You know, that's probably costing you about £25 to, what's that, $30? I don't know. Depends on whether or not you like light tanks. If you do, then getting a bundle like this wouldn't be a bad idea, but certainly not a must-have. Then we have the Sprinters. Now, this one comes with the French Tier 7 HMH AMX 1357, which, to be honest, is not new player friendly whatsoever. So if you're newer to the game and you're interested in getting a premium tank bundle, buying this one is not the one I would recommend, to be honest. Same with the Holland Hund. Yes, it can be used well. It's not a traditional light tank. It's like a medium light tank, kind of style because it's the Bulldog. Bulldog is very boxy, it's very big compared to some of the other light tanks at the same tier. And so, yeah, in terms of the tank, whether you'd want it within the game or on World of Tanks console, I don't know. I mean, they're both competitive, like you can use them well, but I think you need a little bit more knowledge than maybe a new player would have within the game about the camo mechanics, spotting, and the variety of different things. Obviously, if you're interested in getting better, then, you can just jump in, have a go. But remember, these tanks are probably not the easiest ones to kind of learn those mechanics with, so I wouldn't really recommend it. But then again, the best thing to do is to practice. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that, then maybe you go with this bundle. T50-2 is a great tier 6 light tank, and if you want to just pick it up on its own, it's not particularly expensive. And I would 100% recommend this tank if you can get it on its own to buy, to be honest. This tank is so fun, and that can't really be said for too many tanks within World of Tanks, at least for me anyway. And certainly this tank can really have some fantastic games within World of Tanks. And then finally, underestimated. Now, this tank bundle is definitely the best one this week in terms of the competitiveness. The Aufklärungs Panzerpanther is such an underrated premium light tank, so good, can be used so nice. I've had a video in my channel that you can always have a look at on the Aufklärungs Panzerpanther, and it certainly is probably my favourite tier 7 light tank in the game, if not actually my favourite light tank that's a premium basically. This thing is fantastic. I really do like playing it. Really fast firing DPM gun. You've got the Panther hull that goes 60 kilometers an hour standard, but if you boost it with the speed boost that you can get this thing up to like 70 kilometers an hour with a Panther hull. Imagine ramming some of the opposite number light tanks in a tank like that. Yeah, it can be really fun, and that's kind of what I go for on World of Tanks with my premium tanks. I don't always go for the most competitive tanks, but ones that provide the best kind of enjoyment for me. Things like the Cromwell Snakebite, the Aufklärungs Panzerpanther, and the LT-432. These are all fantastic tanks, and if you use them right and you know their weaknesses to be able to play against those weaknesses, to avoid them basically, then you'll have really good games. The Cromwell Snakebite, of course, is one of the fastest tanks within the game, especially if you put the speed boost equipment. You can get this thing up to like 90 kilometers an hour on a light tank that can out-traverse heavy tanks when you're coming up against something like a T90 or T28 tank destroyer at tier 8. It really has no chance and no way possibility of being able to out-traverse enough to be able to counter you as a light tank driver. This thing is amazing. Definitely one that, you'll have so much fun with. It's not particularly accurate on the move. However, if you are getting up close and personal, which you probably want to do at the late game with the Cromwell Snakebite, then that is something I would recommend 100%. And then the final one being the LT-432 light tank, the tier 8 Soviet light tank. This one is amazing as well. This basically has a really low profile T100 light tank kind of build. It's very low profile, moves really nicely. You want to make sure that you do put the equipment that allows you to turn quicker, because it doesn't have particularly the best traverse speed of any light tank within the game, but what it does offer is the ability to basically miss loads of shots that are being fired at you, because you're so low profile and you can basically move and swing out the way so easily. And the LT-432 is just a fantastic one. In terms of 8,750 gold, is it worth it? In my opinion, if you don't have any light tanks and you want to get some premium light tanks to play with and have fun with, then this bundle is probably my favourite one that I've seen in a long time in terms of enjoyment. Aufklärungs Panzerpanther, brilliant. Cromwell Snakebite is absolutely brilliant, and the LT-432 is a really fun tank to play if you don't take it too seriously. But it can be a fantastic light tank if used correctly, but it does take a little bit more skill than the other two, in my opinion anyway. So there we go, that's the light tank operation within World of Tanks this week, and of course the bundles. Let me know what you think about those tanks. Do you differ in your opinion, or are they kind of similar to what I was saying? Of course, it's great to see what you guys have to think, and in the most recent videos, we've basically been getting amazing support from you guys in terms of the comments and just how well you're reacting to everything. Really is a massive thumbs up, especially with everything going on right now in the world. yeah, just amazing to see such great support. And of course, we will move on now to the free tank that you can pick up within the game, which is of course a new mercenary tank. I say new, it's not particularly new, but it is a new mercenary contract in the game. So it is the big top. Let's stop beating around the bush and stop faffing. But here we go, the big top, tier 7 medium tank. It is got this M4A3E2 kind of suspension, basically. I think it's okay. It might even be the E4 hull, actually. And basically, you've got a chance of bouncing, but it's very unlikely. You've got this T25/2 kind of turret, although it does somewhat look like a M26 pattern, which I believe it is actually. So that is the M26 Korean pattern, so it's that kind of turret. You'll be able to bounce maybe a couple, but it can get pemmed fairly easily in the side of the turret. It does have a lot of spaced armor on the side, so you might want to actually side scrape in this thing to avoid taking some damage. Really could be useful. Of course, 1100 hit points, 240 alpha, 160 pen on its standard rounds is pretty mediocre at tier 7, with 243 on its premium rounds, so you want to be firing some premium rounds as and when you need them when you're playing up against those tier 9 tanks that you can meet in this thing. 2.3 second aim time mean that you can kind of aim okay. Definitely not the best aiming time considering the reload, or actually the reload time being so poor actually for a tank with 240 alpha. You want to boost up the DPM as much as possible in this to make it at least somewhat competitive to the other tier 7 medium tanks within the game. Now, as far as how you can actually earn this tank, we'll have a look at that in just a second. You'll be able to actually pick up this 2D standard commander, the Lost Renegade, which is here, that you can basically get that in game. I think that they might offer some extra commander XP per battle, maybe a little bit of a boost compared to the standard one. And basically, what you can do. So, task number 1 is basically the same system as the previous one, so we've had the needle and stuff like that. Well, this one is task 1.1 up to 8.1, so you've got a variety of different tasks within them. They get basically harder as you go through the tasks. Number 1 is of course win a battle, then you have to earn 2,500 or more XP in any number of battles, and then that's basically it for task number 1. You move on to task number 2, which is gets slightly harder. It's to win 2 battles in a row, then you have place in top 5 XP earners in your team in a battle, and then it's earned 3,600 or more XP in any number of battles. Now the XP requirement as you move up through them always increases, so this is 7,200, and then if we look at the number 4, it's going to take you a lot longer every single time you go up through the tasks, so they're taking even more XP, and you'll basically have to just grind out lots of XP over the period of time that this is out. Of course, as you get through the rewards get better, and you can actually pick up quite a nice amount of premium time. If you can see here, 3 days of premium, a little bit of silver, plenty of boosters that you can get as well, and of course if you keep on going through them, every single kind of one of the higher end tasks gives you premium days, 3 premium days. You can get silver, 533,600 silver, and of course silver boosters and stuff like that. And then the final one rewards you with the big top medium tank and the Lost Renegade standard 2D commander, and you'll need 291,600 or more XP in any number of battles, which is a ridiculous amount. Let me not beat around the bush there. That's ridiculous actually. How much XP will you need to go from number 1? You're going to need, 440,000? You're going to need 500,000. What on earth, Wargaming? You're going to need probably in the region of 600,000 XP over the course of... Okay, you've got 1.5 months. But 600,000 XP over the course of 1.5 months is quite a sizable amount actually. And considering you can do it on both of them, in fact you can do it in any tank that you want, so it's not so bad. I know previously it used to restrict you to what kind of tanks you can play to earn the tank, so a lot of the time before with the mercenary contracts you used to have to play the parts of the tank that it makes up. So say if you wanted to complete the big top, You'd have to play in the American tanks to be able to get the hull of the tank, and then say if it had like a French gun or something, you'd have to play French tanks during the operation at some point, but that's no longer the case. It just requires you to get a butt ton of XP over the course of the 1.5 months that this operation is actually active. Yes, you will need 600,000 XP roughly. That's obviously a rough calculation as I was just going through. So if you're interested in actually getting the big top, that's how much it's going to cost you, or at least that's how many XP you'll have to earn over the course of the operation. Is the tank really worth grinding out that much if you weren't going to grind it out to begin with? Probably not, but it certainly is a tank that if you haven't got a mercenary one, you want to try out a mercenary tank. And if you've played the Revelries 8, kind of a little bit like that, except you get less alpha damage. And so yeah, it's up to you. Do you enjoy the big top? Will you enjoy the big top? Or are you actually going to leave it, not bother with the operation and just carry on as you normally would, not really going towards it? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to check out some videos, we did one on a couple of things I talked about yesterday, which was about the secrets of World of Tanks console that no one ever really talks about within the game. So if you haven't seen that already, you can go and check that out in the comments down below. I'll try and pin a comment with the video in it. And then, of course, if you want to check out some of the update news for this week that we covered on Friday, I believe it was, then I will link that at the end of this video in just a second. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you who have watched to this point. I really do appreciate it. Everything that you do is just fantastic. Every single comment, every single like, every interaction, every view, just fantastic from me, and really do appreciate it. Of course, some people decide that they want to go absolutely crazy and give me some money basically through the channel memberships, which is just crazy. Yeah, it really does help me out though for purchasing some premium tanks that come into the game early on. And then I can kind of do some content on them for you. So that's hence why I've been able to create some tank reviews of the brand new tanks that come into the game. And of course, hopefully that is good for you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of all of these update news videos. Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? Are you not playing World of Tanks anymore? Let me know. And of course, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.